Have you ever felt like you were faking it? Like everyone else got a manual for life that you somehow never received, and you're just improvising, hoping nobody notices? Here's the strange part. That exact feeling, that constant sense of, am I actually good at this or am I just lucky, might be the biggest clue that you're gifted. Not gifted in the way we usually picture it. No cape, no violin prodigy playing Carnegie Hall at age 6. I'm talking about a quieter, more common kind of gifted. The kind that hides in plain sight, inside people who spend their whole lives assuming they're just normal, maybe even a little behind. Let's start with the obvious contradiction. We tend to think gifted people are confident, loud, aware of their own brilliance, maybe even a little insufferable about it. But psychologically, it often works the other way around. When your brain processes things faster or deeper than the people around you, you don't experience that as, wow, I'm special. You experience it as, wow, everyone else must be overreacting because this doesn't feel that hard to me. Your baseline becomes the whole world's baseline. It's like being the tallest person in a room full of mirrors set at your exact height. You have no idea you're tall because everything around you looks proportional. This is one reason so many gifted adults walk around undiagnosed, unrecognized, quietly assuming they're average, while privately exhausted by a mind that never really slows down. So let's talk about sign 1. You overthink everything, and I mean everything, not just the big decisions, the small ones too. What to text back, what that pause in a conversation meant, why the barista looked at you funny. Psychologists call this cognitive complexity, and gifted minds tend to have it in abundance. Your brain doesn't just see the event in front of you, it sees the branching tree of implications behind it. Most people see a red apple. You see the apple, the tree it came from, the analogy it makes for original sin, and a tangent about how weird it is that an apple a day became medical folklore. Exhausting? Sometimes, but it's also why you notice things other people miss entirely. Sign 2, and this one stings a little, you feel like an outsider, even in rooms full of people who like you. Not because you're cold or distant, but because your interests don't quite sync up with the group rhythm. Everyone's talking about the weekend, and you're thinking about whether free will actually exists. This isn't snobbery, it's asynchronous development, a concept researchers use to describe how gifted individuals often mature intellectually far faster than they do emotionally or socially. Imagine a 10-year-old debating philosophy like an adult, but still crying over a lost stuffed animal. That mismatch doesn't disappear with age. It just gets quieter, more internal. You learn to mask it. You learn small talk like a second language, even if it never quite feels natural. Sign 3 is one almost nobody talks about. You feel almost physically uncomfortable with unfairness. Not politically, not performatively, but on a gut level. A friend gets blamed for something they didn't do, and you feel it in your chest like it happened to them. Historically, we've seen this pattern in figures who couldn't tolerate injustice, even when it cost them comfort. People who spoke up when staying silent would have been so much easier. That's not just morality, it's heightened moral sensitivity, something researchers link to advanced perspective taking, a hallmark trait in gifted populations. Your brain doesn't just register that's against the rules, it simulates the pain of the person experiencing it in real time, uninvited. Sign 4. You learn new skills disturbingly fast and then get bored just as fast. You pick up a hobby, become suspiciously good at it within weeks, and then lose interest right as everyone else is asking you for tips. This isn't flakiness. Psychologist Carol Dweck's research on mastery orientation shows that some minds are wired to chase growth itself, not mastery for its own sake. Once the learning curve flattens, the dopamine dries up. It's like your brain is a shark that has to keep swimming forward or it stops breathing, except instead of oxygen, it needs novelty. And sign 5, maybe the most bittersweet one. You often feel like nobody quite understands the way you see the world, and that loneliness follows you even in good relationships. You've probably had someone say, "You think too much," or "Why does this matter so much to you?" and felt a quiet ache afterward, like being misread by someone who genuinely tried. This isn't superiority. It's often the emotional cost of intensity, a nervous system that reacts to ideas and feelings with more voltage than most. Psychologist Kazimir Dabrowski actually built an entire theory around this, calling it overexcitability, the idea that some people simply experience life louder, sensorially, emotionally, intellectually, and that volume, while sometimes overwhelming, is deeply tied to depth, empathy, and creative thinking. Here's the perspective shift, though. All five of these traits, the overthinking, the outsider feeling, the hypersensitivity to fairness, the fast then bored learning pattern, the quiet loneliness, they're usually framed as flaws, things to fix, mask, or apologize for. But what if they're actually just the side effects of a mind that runs a little hotter, sees a little further, and feels a little deeper than it was ever taught to trust? Giftedness was never supposed to mean better than everyone else. It just means different wiring. Wiring that once understood instead of hidden stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like a lens. Maybe you were never the person who couldn't keep up. Maybe you were just moving to a rhythm nobody bothered to explain to you. So if even one of these hit a little too close to home, I'd love to know which one. Drop it in the comments because honestly, some of the most interesting conversations happen right there. And if you want more of this, the quiet psychology behind the way we think, feel, and misunderstand ourselves, stick around because this channel is basically a love letter to minds like yours.